going to talk about some mobile applications that will be useful this time of year as we're starting to prep for harvest on our summer crops and also get ready for planting of winter crops and some hunting season stuff. So one of the first apps I'd like to talk about today is the Ag PhD's Harvest app. Now, the Ag PhD put an app together called Harvest Loss. It's a very useful and simple tool that can help you know how important it is to set your combine. So what you do, we go into, say, corn. You look at how many seeds there are per pound. You can adjust that. In this app, it starts out as 1,450 seeds per pound. And then you go out behind the combine after the combine's run through the field or made that first pass. You count how many seeds you find on the ground per square foot. So in this case, I'm going to say we go in there and we find 10 kernels in a 1 foot square. You can also go in there and put a cost per bushel or crop price per bushel. Let's just say $3.50 for the time being. And it goes through the calculations. 10 kernels per square foot is approximately 5.36 bushels per acre and a cost of $3.50 per bushel. So this just lets you know how much you're losing by that combine not being set properly. As we're coming out of harvest, prepping for getting our winter crops in the ground, there's going to be a lot of spraying, especially on no-till ground. An app that I've found very useful over the years is Tank Mix Calc. Tank Mix Calc is a simple guide that allows you to enter in what chemistries you want to be applying, the size of area that you're going to be applying to, and information about your sprayer. So you set up a new job. This app is really nice because it allows you to have a chemical inventory list. You can look at what chemicals you have, but you go in there and you can have a chemistry list. You can add chemistries to your list pretty simply. You go in there and you look at a list. You can have anything from a liquid fertilizer to any of the chemistries out there. We'll add some 2,4-D to our list. You can manually add that and save it to your label. But you go in there and you make a new job. It's quite simple. You go, you have your acres. Right now I'm set up for a 120 acre field with a 250 gallon tank on my sprayer, and I want a 15 gallon per acre spray rate with the 2 quarts of glyphosate. You go to next and it'll break it out how many times you're going to have to fill that sprayer, how much total volume you're going to need, how much total volume of herbicide you're going to need, and it tells you per load. So in this case, I'm going to need 8 total loads, 7 full loads, 1 partial. How much total glyphosate? I'm going to need 60 gallons of product and 1,740 gallons of water. And I'll tell you down to per load how much glyphosate you add per each load, and then to the partial load, and then you're done. And the nice thing is it saves that for later date. So let's say I have a mix, a special burned down mix that I like that has 3 or 4 chemistries. I can save that mix and have it for fields for later use. So it's a very handy app to use during spray time. It's also a good time to be going out there, especially on our grain-only wheat fields, making sure that we have our soil samples collected. Now, OSU put out an app a couple years ago called OK State Soil. This app is real handy if you're doing soil sampling on your own and using the OSU Soil Testing Lab. In this app, you can have this app pulled up while you're pulling soil samples, and it'll provide lat long for wherever you're pulling soil samples from. And if you have the barcodes from your county office already, you can have that barcoded on that sample and have it tied to a lat long with notes saying this is the back 40 field, this is the Johnson field, what bit. It's okay if you don't have the barcodes, because you can go ahead and collect your soil samples, save the information in the app, and once you get to the county office, if they have the barcodes to send a swaffle, you can tie in those samples later. This is also a really good scouting app if you're just needing locations. So you can take multiple points within one field, and this will save lat long. This will also save notes. Another really handy tool that should be prepping us for this time of the year is a grain drill calculator. So you can help calibrate your grain drill for fertilizer, wheat seed, or canola seed utilizing this app. You can go into the app pretty simply, collect the all grains, you put your tire dimensions, your circumference, how many turns of the tire you're going to do, what's your row spacing, and then how many cups, because on a grain drill you're going to catch the cups, one or all your cups, and it has that calculation. and then your target rate in pounds of seed or pounds of fertilizer per acre, and then it tells you what you should be expecting out of each cup, so you can adjust the grain drill so you can be accurate when you're either placing seed or fertilizer in the ground. We have a couple grazing apps that are going to be handy this time of year, especially as we're dealing with the drought across the state. One of those apps is the Oklahoma State's Graze OK app. It uses a grazing stick to measure the height of your forage to see how much forage you have and how much you can graze on it, and give you kind of an estimation of forage load or stocking rate. Another handy one right now, as we're going through a drought across a great part of the state, is a cattle management app. And this is basically a check off, a flow through chart on what to do, a decision tree on what to do when you're having limited grazing due to drought. So it'll go and it'll ask you about your feed supply. It'll ask you about your herd. It'll ask you about your facilities and your herd health. And it'll help you decide whether you keep, whether you sell, whether you feed, or whether you can graze. So it's just a decision aid to help you process through during the challenging times of trying to have a cattle operation during a drought. Now, the last apps I'm going to talk about is one of the most popular for this time of year. As we're getting this rain, as the hunters are trying to start prepping up for the season, you got a lot of hunting fever. OSU has an app called Wildlife Food Plot app. In this app, you can go through and select your species of target. In there, you can choose from deer, turkey, quail, waterfowl, dove, and pheasant. And let's say deer, because it's starting to become deer season. Archery's coming up soon enough. It's going to be a cool season plant right now because we're prepping our cool season. We go through our cool season plant prepping, and you can go in and it'll show you all the beneficial species you can plant that will help out your deer population this time of year. So we could look at red clover, or let's go to beet. So we could plant a beet right now. It's going to tell you how much to plant per acre, and how much to plant per acre if you're blending it with others. Then also tells you a little bit about the soil type that it would want and a description of the plant. You could then save those lists, so you can have a list for one property and a list for another property, save it and email it on. That's just a few of the apps that are popular with ag producers right now. To see a full list, check out the SunUp website at www.sunup.okstate.edu.